So my name is Thomas Reif. I was born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. I was born into a very drug-addicted family, generations of drug addiction, and my mother and father were both addicted to drugs. My dad was in and out of prison through my childhood. I just had a very violent, a very traumatic childhood growing up. Eventually I would be placed into foster care with my brother and my sister. And that would end up being a lot more trauma, a lot more violence that it just seemed to follow me through my childhood. At the age of 14, I would be adopted by my mother, Susan. That was a lot better. It seemed like at that time I was pulled out of a very violent environment and placed into a loving home. It still wasn't a Christian home. Throughout my childhood and throughout middle school and high school, I never really thought about God. He just simply wasn't on my radar. Now, after high school, I went off and I joined the military, and I met my wife, Ashley. And right before my deployment to Afghanistan, we got engaged. And I went off and I deployed to Afghanistan in 2012. Now, while we were in Afghanistan, it was a mild combat deployment. I did lose my really good friend, Cody Suggs, while we were overseas, and that just kind of took a piece of my heart, you know, when he died. And I came home and I just struggled with a lot of emotions, a lot of things that I didn't know how to really deal with, a lot of anger. I was just a different person. And for me, I thought it was normal, just like everyone else that returned from a deployment to Afghanistan or Iraq. It was just a normal part of life. So I continued on with life, and I kind of just shoved it down, and I didn't really think a whole lot of it. And I always had this dream. I had a dream of becoming a police officer and eventually to become a narcotics detective. That was my goal in life from a very young age, after seeing what drug addiction had done to my family. And I got hired by a department in Southern Oregon in 2014, and I had achieved my dream. I quickly fell in love with the job, and I devoted every ounce of my life to becoming the best police officer that I could be. And throughout my career, I experienced a lot of violence again. I worked in a very violent town, Klamath Falls, Oregon, and there were a lot of homicides. I had to investigate a lot of murders, a lot of fatal car accidents, suicides, child deaths, just a lot of really traumatic things that we would have to investigate these types of things.